Good morning, Inform Scotland followers and friends. You weirdos really liked that video yesterday. I've had 500 views in 24 hours, so that's amazing. I got a lot of very encouraging messages. Thank you so much for those. I'm glad you enjoyed the video, which I was a bit concerned would be a bit dull, but I think people are hungry for unpanicked and true data about this pandemic, and I'm very happy to give that to you as long as you are interested in hearing it. There's a lot going on in my house this morning. My daughter is preparing her cookies for the Cakes and Liberty protest that we will be engaging in this morning again, and my other daughter is building something massive in Minecraft, so there's a wee bit of noise in the background. Hopefully we won't get disturbed. There's a couple of things I'll say before I get into the stats. We have a very interesting set of statistics coming out in the website, hopefully today, I think, from Bouncing Kitten, who's an excellent data analyst, much better, much more qualified than me, about the situation in Moray. So I look forward to you all getting that information. Watch out for that. I think it'll be coming out today. There was something else I was going to write. I can't remember now what I was thinking. I've written it down. Yesterday I got a lot of lovely messages. Thank you so much. They really did mean a lot. I also got some quite annoying articles, mostly from the BBC, but not exclusively, that people send me. I don't know if they're sending them to me to wind me up or what, but anyway, I got a lot of articles. And one that particularly stood out, I just want to speak to you about this just very briefly. It's a BBC article. It's called COVID in Scotland, warning that Moray could face longer in level 3. Now, I spoke about the Moray levels yesterday. This article was written 2 days ago, and it's mainly quoting Gillian Evans, the head of health intelligence at NHS Grampian, who's saying the situation in Moray is very fragile and questioning whether Moray can move down to level 2 on the 17th of May as planned. So anyway, quite a lot of this article was pretty daft, frankly. One of the things that she said, and you lot are smart people, so I'm not going to hold your hands through too much of this because I'm sure you'll be able to work this out. We are currently spending quite a lot of money running a test and trace scheme. That means that if you have a COVID positive person, you then find all their contacts and you test them, and you're supposed to be able to detect outbreaks from that testing. However, this article actually says the recent surge in infections in Moray was worrying because they were not linked to a known chain of transmission, and many of the cases are also asymptomatic. What does that sound like to you? If you're tracing contacts and you're finding positives which are not connected to any known chain of transmission, and a lot of the cases are asymptomatic, what does that sound like? Random generation of positives, perhaps? Why are we worrying about people who are asymptomatic? What? I'm asymptomatic today, completely asymptomatic, and I feel absolutely tremendous, raring to go. So we're worrying about that now, kind of thing. To go to today's stats that I've just uploaded to the website. The cover image is my pie charts, which I've reinstated today just because the situation is so absurd. So we currently have, according to the ONS prevalence survey, 99.87% of people in Scotland are uninfected by SARS-CoV-2, and the remaining 0.13% of people are infected. So that is 13 in 10,000. So, the stats that I've given for today, I've got my first graph is cases, so you can see, or positive test, you can see that level remains flat when averaged. Positivity remains at 1% approximately. I don't think that's going to change. I think that is as low as it's probably going to get unless we do much smarter testing. Don't hold your breath. Newly tested individuals are flat in number, trending down overall, which obviously indicates that there are very few people seeking, or there's not like a surge in people seeking tests because they've been struck down by illness. Hospital occupancy, we're now, the hospital occupancy for COVID, that's patients with a positive COVID test, they're at 1/20th of the number of delayed discharges in the hospital. I think there will be at least a few COVID patients in hospital. So we have 68 in total across the country. That's patients with a positive test. There must be a good number of them delayed in hospital because they have this positive test, so they can't leave. We know from speaking to clinicians that that is true. So 1/20th of the delayed discharges, well, the number of COVID patients represents 1/20th of the number of delayed discharges. All of the ITU patients, it seems today, are long-term patients. That's been in for more than 28 days. Weirdly, there are 8 patients in ITU being reported with a positive COVID test, but 9 of them have been in for more than 28 days. That's as odd as it seems. I don't know what's going on there, but that's the numbers that are being reported. Grampian cases, I've added them again. You can see that there is a very, very, very slight increase over the last couple of days, but again, that will fluctuate with time. It is possible that we are having more cases from Moray. If you have suspected transmission, you'll be doing more tests. That means you bring back more positives. I haven't actually looked at the positivity because that's a wee bit complicated, and I think Bouncing Kittens post is going to deal with that. The point is, there is no disaster happening in Moray. There really, really isn't. In fact, I can tell you the positive cases from Moray. Grampian yesterday reported 34 positive tests. You can go and look up the population of Grampian if you want and see what you think. Highland had 2 yesterday. So that brings me to testing again. Well, actually, the NHS testing might be falling slightly, which I think is great news. So that's what your taxes are paying for there. Hospital occupancy, yesterday we only had 3 hospital regions in the trace, but Lothian came back in today because it had more than 5 patients. So my policy is if there's fewer than 5 patients in the hospital, I take them off the trace, because if there's fewer than 5 patients in on a list being reported, they remove them for patient confidentiality reasons. So we've got fewer than 5 patients for every region except Lanarkshire, Greater Glasgow and Clyde, Grampian and Lothian. Greater Glasgow, Grampian and Lanarkshire have all increased slightly on yesterday. But we're talking about massive regions here. I mean, Greater Glasgow and Clyde has a lot of hospitals in it. So I think there was like an extra 4 patients today, in the last 24 hours compared to the previous. Vaccinations, the trend there continues. We've got second doses are still much higher than first doses, but they have been falling for quite a significant period of time, like since the 20th of April, sort of. And first doses are increasing again. So maybe this push to get younger people vaccinated now is starting to pay off for the authorities. And ONS prevalence, we have had, now we're down to 1 in 760 people infected according to the ONS prevalence survey. Previous week was 640. That's actually quite a significant reduction in infection rates. And that's the end of the stats update. There is only good news here. There is no reason for anybody to be upset or worried or panicking. Just in view of what I was saying about that BBC article, I would like you just bear in mind when you're reading this stuff, have a think about what they're saying. Gillian Evans, I'm just going to repeat this again. Gillian Evans of the Health Intelligence Department of NHS Grampian is worried because she's finding infections with no chain of transmission and lots of the people are asymptomatic. Just have a think about that. This is not smart thinking coming out of the Health Intelligence Department of NHS Grampian. We would love to speak to them. Maybe 500 people will see this video in the next 24 hours and get in touch with Health Intelligence and ask them to have a chat with me. That would be awesome. That would be like my dream now. This is life now. Thank you so much for your attention again. Stay sane, stay strong, stay tuned. I love you. Have a great Saturday.